is our subconscious minds are reacting to each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's been documented, and that's a fascinating study.
Yes. Well, you're a fascinating guy, and so is George, and God bless
that.
you all. Well, thank
you very much.
Good night.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Let's go to Las Vegas. Kyle, you are up with us. Go ahead, Kyle.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Sure thing.
I've got an interesting question for you. You, like in movies, when you hear like actors speak their lines, could we hear, if you were to play their lines backwards, could we hear, what the writer's saying?
What the writers are saying.
Right, like with written speech, because that's a little bit more planned out.
Yeah, pardon me. When somebody is reading a script, that's not quite as off the cuff as it would be if they were just speaking extemporaneously. You find fewer speech reversals in that situation, although you do have them. But a speech reversal is generated by the person speaking, so part of your answer is no, you won't be getting speech reversals that have to do with the writers. It'll be generated by the person speaking. And the speech reversal is not, it doesn't come from the written word. It comes from the little hesitations and the hems and the haws and the little stutters. Those are really what the speech reversals come from rather than the words themselves.
I hate to say this, but I think Barack Obama's got a lot of those.
They all do. They all do. One of the reasons, I'm fairly apolitical, and one of the reasons is, do you really need reverse speech to tell you that politicians lie? The answer is no, don't you think?
That's true.
And the other thing is, it's a fairness issue. As I said earlier, everyone that speaks will have incongruent speech reversals. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're bald-faced liars. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that they're human.
Robert Kennedy was discussing nuclear arms, the treaty, and in reverse, he says, the man and the meteor says it all. Listen closely.
Nor does this treaty mean an end to the threat of nuclear war. The man and the meteor says it all.
The man and the meteor says it on. The man and the meteor says it on.
Okay, so how do you interpret this, though, Wayne? Clearly, his forward was, nor does this treaty mean an end to the threat of nuclear war. And in reverse, you hear him say, the man and the meteor says it all. What does that mean, though?
He's asserting his own authority unconsciously. He's the man. The meteor would be the nuclear threat, the bomb.
Right.
And he's setting the record straight. He says it all.
Says it all. Let's go to Dale, east of the Rockies in Kings Island, Ohio. Hey, Dale.
Hey, how you doing, George?
Okay, Dale.
Hi, Dale.
Late Happy New Year to you, and Wayne, a very interesting program. My question is, can the average person do this, or do you have to have some kind of special equipment to do this?
Oh, well, first of all, if you go to reversespeech.com, you can receive training from David Oates, which is where I was trained. And it's excellent training. When I started as a hobbyist, I had an old tape recorder that I picked up from eBay. And that's a very tedious way to do it. Now there's reverse speech software that's really affordable, and it simplifies the procedure quite a bit. But there is quite a bit of training involved in order to do this accurately. It's very easy in reverse speech. If you listen, you can easily slip into the scenario where you're sort of looking at the clouds and making things up.
Okay.
Without the training.
Next up, first-time caller line. Let's go to Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello there.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Tell, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I love the show. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, this is my question. I guess the previous caller kind of touched on it, and that's with the equipment. Now, you mentioned training, because when you first asked, right before you went to the break, is it considered a science? It made me think, it's because it sounded a bit subjective. And I say that because kind of like how psychology is subjective, because of I'm wondering if you use other languages, in your, I guess when you're trying to decipher what's being said, because I think I agree, we do speak on two different consciousnesses even more, but I think when we're dealing with speech, we're also dealing with language, and because we're dealing with language, in order for us to get to the truth of it, we kind of got to have all languages included. So I'm wondering if while you're deciphering this stuff, is your language just restricted to the English language?
No, well, I only speak English. I speak a little Spanish, but so, for instance, if someone is speaking Romanian, it's unlikely that I'm going to be able to decipher a speech reversal. However, if a person is bilingual, you will find speech reversals in both languages, usually in whatever language they're most fluent in. But there are people in Japan doing reverse speech. There are people in Germany. There are people in various countries around the world who use reverse speech technology.
I see. All right, thanks for answering that. The second question is, I also got a second question, if I can get it in.
Sure, Kelly, go ahead. Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. You said with the Rosa Parks question, it said, what was it? Let a memory tell your story?
Let a memory tell that.
Tell that, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we all regard Rosa Parks as, a heroic figure, I guess, for the most part, and that's mainstream. At the same time, there's an underground story that goes with that indicates it's not so much as a heroic story as what we know. And with that being said, without giving those details, for the most part, I'm wondering, after hearing that statement, it kind of sounds like it could be contradictory, given that kind of underground story.
Well, that's a good point. That's possible.
I hadn't thought of it. Yeah, that could be.
All right, great. Thanks, Tally. Next up, we've still got time for a few more calls here. Mary in Toronto on the international line. Mary, thanks for calling.
Oh, thanks for taking my call. Hi, George. And
Hi.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. This is interesting. I was wondering, have you ever applied this technique to the verbalizings of cats, dogs, or birds, or even cows?
This is actually, yes, there are some speech reversals on animals. I'm not aware of a lot of them. However, my wife is a fairly well-known animal communicator, so we have taped our animals, and we have come up with a few.
Oh,
what
wife
is
do a show sometime?
We should with the reverse animal communication. I mean, what does it sound like, Wayne? If a cat meows forward, what does it sound like in reverse?
There is a cat. I can't remember what the cat one was, but it sounds, especially in particular cats, it sounds like someone speaking.
No.
Yes, absolutely.
Now that's
what
weird.
else is fascinating? Children, babies, before they learn to speak in forward,
We're in their goo goo gaga.
learn to speak in reverse. And I've got a number of speech reversals of children and babies where they're doing goo goo gaga, and in reverse, they're saying things.
That's riveting. That is. Now, is this something that the brain does automatically, Wayne?
Yes. Yeah. It's, as far as we can tell, it's an automatic function
That is
of
something.
the subconscious.
Let's go to Joan on the wild card line. Hey, Joan, go ahead.
Hi. My question is this. Have you ever tried doing the speech reversal on people speaking in tongues? The type of, religious speaking, in languages or whatever people can't understand. It sounds like gibberish.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe even during an exorcism. That would be
Just
interesting.
recently, actually. It's not somebody speaking in tongues, but there's a woman who, and it turns out there's a number of people. This could be a show for you, George, if somebody would research it.
Yeah, a good idea, Wayne.
There's a whole subculture of people who speak these languages spontaneously. It's not that they make them up. It's just that it comes out. And there's some evidence that there are a few who actually are speaking the same language.
For every piece of tape that is recorded,